All right, let's see here. Preparing to live stream the meeting. Setting up your meeting for YouTube Live. Done. Redirecting to YouTube. It looks like it's working.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. And yes, I have started doing Christmas music already around here as of yesterday. I got to keep an eye on my schedule here because I don't have an employee today now.
Oh, I don't want to do that. Okay.
But it's during the school year on a Thursday. Probably not going to get any until later today anyway. So if at all, Thursdays are not exactly busy days.
And yeah, but since we're doing this, it will be.
Well, we'll be done by the time we open, though. Well,
okay.
Today we won't because we open at 3. But I got the mastermind at 4. So
okay, we're live. Let's record.
All right, we're live. Woo!
Get this thing over with.
My flowing locks.
All right,
live
anytime.
and recording. Okay, ask me if I want to leave the meeting because it's being recorded. No, I'll stay.
No,
I'll hang around. Look at my wicked cool cup.
Ooh.
Psychedelic. It's a silicone cup. Look at this.
Oh, cool.
And it's by my good friends over at Metro Waterproofing. Metro Waterproofing. If you want a roof,
for all your waterproofing.
All your waterproofing. Yeah, they do commercial buildings and
all that.
Do a good job.
Good. Okay, let's get started. You're a busy man. Right. You're an important, busy man.
I am. And wait till you hear how busy. It's going to be a good story.
Okay.
All right, here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2. On today's episode of Video Marketing Madness, we're going to discuss the new iPhone 15 Pro. And is it truly a professional video editing tool? Shooting tool. We're going to find out. But before we find out, we're also going to hear from our great sponsors who provide all the great stuff that you can add to that new phone or your old phone or your DSLR or your camcorder. We're talking about our friends at Movo, who make all the great microphones that we use, all the great lights that we use, all the great stands that we use to hold our phones and our cameras. They do it all, and you can shoot like a pro by heading on over to raiselinks.com/Movo. That's MOVO. Check it out. And with that, let's check out the theme song.
Which we'll let it in later if you're watching on
theme
YouTube.
Song will be added here.
It's the radio show about video marketing madness with Ray, the video guy, and I'm Steve Sleeper. And
yes,
hey, I've got a couple of tips before we get in there that I've found with my YouTube train channel. Steve Sleeper Trains, by the way. For getting more views. So
let's hear it. I like more views.
As you know, with promotions, they banned me because I was politics in Argentina. I have no idea where that came from. And, honestly, I don't want to be spending a lot of money on it anyhow.
Just before you get on with your story, just an update to that there. I think, and this is something I pointed out, I think before this even happened to you, they're doing something new there with their automated systems, and I think they got a little messed up and sideways because I had 4 channels that I've talked about that got booted, and as soon as I said, "Hey, what's going on here?" they put them right back and said, "No, it's perfectly fine." But it all happened in the same time, and the same thing happened to you, and the same thing happened to somebody else. So clearly, they were probably trying to do some sort of automated update to find things that they need to delete, so they don't have to use humans. And it kind of killed a bunch of things. But
I've had like 5 videos, maybe 4, maybe it's 4, that they said, well, we deleted it because it violated community standards. And here's the standard it violated. And I'm like, it didn't violate that standard.
Yeah.
And one of them was one that you stood up for. You stood up for a client of mine, so it was a real video, unlike my slideshow videos. And so I just simply, and I don't know why they did it, because none of them got taken down. None of them got de-indexed. I went back and looked, and they were all okay. So
Yeah.
I appealed one just to see what would happen. No, we stand by what we said, but it was still there. It wasn't de-indexed. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, there's some weird things going on. Like I posted a video on Facebook yesterday, and it was a little review of a cool piece of little software, which we'll probably talk about next week. And I got a thing saying, "Hey, you're sharing stuff from this Russian news source. Are you sure you want to put it there? There's a lot of people posting false information from these Russian sources."
I saw.
And it had
I got
these Russian
too.
links.
Yeah, I got that too. I got that too. Yeah, yeah, I got that too.
I just said yes, I'm sure, and then it was fine.
And I'm not shooting Russian locomotives or Russian trains or anything like that. But
yeah,
anyhow,
something triggered it. I have a feeling the YouTube video with all the random numbers and letters at the end,
yeah,
it must have triggered something. I think that's the only thing I can think of, that it thought it was like some Russian link or something. I don't know. It's very weird.
Weird. But anyhow, here's what I found as a good organic way to get more views.
Oh, yes. I love it. Let's hear it.
Okay. So the first one is, I've got a video called Train Goes into Emergency in La Plata, Missouri. That's got 12,000 views, and it gets a lot of views every week. And I'm just going to ride that pony for as long as I can. So every time I cut a new video, I change the, emergency video. I change the end screen to my latest video. Okay.
Yep.
It's a subscribe in my latest video. I get subscribers, and I get 20 extra views for that new video, when I do that.
All right. So what do you think is it that's causing the extra views?
Because it's on the end screen. Because every time I upload a new video, I change the end screen on the emergency train video from a few years ago. I change it to that new video.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's
take your most popular video, change the end screen on that popular video to your latest video. That's actually, I will test that this week.
Yeah, I get a lot of extra views from that. Well, a lot. I mean, 20, but that's still a lot for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to test it with a video that has, millions of views, and a video that without that is probably still going to get 50,000 views at least. So I will check that and see. Now, right now, I will tell you that end screens for me, the channels I have, when I check them, usually hover around about 2 to 3% click.
Oh.
2 to 3% of my traffic will click a end screen, which is, actually is not bad considering, but it's not good, obviously. But considering numbers I hear, it's not bad.
Yeah, that's I don't know what mine is. I didn't really look. It's rare that I get. I mean, most of my views don't. They're 25% of a video, but I do. Obviously, I do get people watching the whole video, I get a lot of YouTube. Most of my views come from YouTube recommendations. Lately, I've gone from a couple hundred views of video to 75. So I don't know what happened there, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's just a matter of what they're putting out there. And there are some factors, some of which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, we do a mastermind group on YouTube after this show later today on our Thursdays. We do that. We'll be talking a little bit about that because I've got some interesting information and numbers that we kind of talked about last week, and I've got some updates on that that'll surprise a few people. And we'll talk about that later, but we're talking about the promotions tab inside of YouTube. And, I'm torn on it. I will say this. If you are a new channel, you're trying to get subscribers, and you don't want to do anything, you know what I mean? It's a great way to do that.
It is. It is. Yeah. No, no doubt. No doubt.
And I will tell you, if you don't mind those subscribers coming from other countries like India and Pakistan, you can get a lot of numbers.
If you're trying to get monetized, it's a good way. Now, here's something else. If I've got something unusual in that video that I can make a short of, then I grab that out of my video with my video editor, and we're going to talk about an easier way to do it next week or when we do the next show. But I grab that video out of my video editor, edit out anywhere from 10 to 59 seconds of it. I put it into Canva, make a short of it. My shorts are averaging about, I think, 500 to 600 views. And then, of course, I link it to that video, and that gets me extra views for my full-length video. And that 20 number may be the combination of the two. I don't remember, but I can see the extra views in there. It's just that when I start quoting numbers, I always fluff them up. But
yeah.
But 20 to 30 extra views, probably more like 20 with the combination of those two things, has worked out pretty well for me. At one time, my shorts went from a couple thousand views down to 0 for about 3 or 4 different shorts. And I went, okay, well, I'm done with that. And then I don't know, I read something about, okay, well, they've kind of loosened up shorts a little bit, so I thought, well, I'll just make it something unusual that happened. And yeah, 500 to 600 each time. I think I had one recently that was a couple of thousand. So,
and shorts, they can be great. They can be very helpful. A lot of people didn't like to do them. At least a lot of people, you'll notice, were making separate channels just for shorts at one point in time, which you don't really need to do anymore. But back in the day, you kind of did, because all of a sudden you had all these views of, less than a minute, and it was hurting your channel in a lot of ways. But that certainly isn't going to hurt your channel now.
Well, especially now that you can link it to
that's the thing that's what I'm testing right now. So for those of you who don't know, I don't think we've talked about that here. It was kind of funny in that mastermind group I was talking about. I was talking about YouTube was going to be doing something new. And I said, this is probably how they're going to do it. And we went there, and it had been turned on that day. So we were literally the first people to talk about it. Because yesterday wasn't there, today it was. So what it is in your shorts, because one of the problems with shorts is that if you're not a savvy YouTube user, which a lot of the kids are and stuff, you watch a short and you don't have a way to get back to, I mean, you do, but people didn't know how to get back to their other videos and things like that. And even with like one of my clients that does the medical stuff, it's with an older crowd. They, I would constantly on the shorts, I would get messages from people, give us a link to the long video so we can watch the full thing. I'm like, okay, you made it to the comments, but you didn't look at the description. It's in the description. It's the first thing in the description is watch the full video here. But people couldn't do it. What YouTube has done now is they've actually put a little banner on your short video that that will connect to a longer video.
Right.
And so they can just click on that and go there. I don't think a lot of people have caught on that it's there yet. Well, I'm getting some now. I'm starting to see numbers.
Getting some. Yeah, I'm getting some. And, now one thing I will say, and the only reason I'm saying this is because there's probably other types of channels out there where their content lends itself to this. But when it comes to rail fanning videos, shorts are perfect because if you don't want to watch the whole video, you've got to be a real heavy duty rail fan to watch a 5-minute video.
To be a short video.
Yeah, it does. And so my latest one, I was in a little town south of here, and I shot the old Missouri Pacific depot that's been abandoned for years, and they've stabilized it. And then there was an old Missouri Pacific boxcar there. So I just showed that. It was maybe 30 seconds. That got 600 views. But then I got some extra views over on the parent video of all the train catches I got. But I think there are topics out there that really lend themselves to shorts, and mine's one of them. So.
Yep, I think it absolutely does. Little funny sketches. Those those I don't know if you've seen those guys. They're everywhere. The guys that tell the dad jokes back and forth. They're usually sitting on a dock by the lake. Like that kind of stuff. Really, you learn to realize when you're watching some of these things how long a minute really can be. Like wow, that you think of a short video, and a lot of short videos are 10 seconds, and that's why. But when it's a full minute, I mean, a minute's a longer time than you think sometimes. Especially, certain things like when I'm editing videos, sometimes a minute seems like an eternity. Yeah. And I'm like, oh gosh, I wish there was a 10-second video. But yeah, a minute you get a lot in a minute. I mean, think about it. TV commercials are typically 30 seconds and, they sell millions and millions of dollars worth of products. So you got double a TV commercial's length to get your message out there. So it's definitely something that can be done. And, you got to use it. You got to use it.
As of my latest stat says I'm getting 600 hours a month.
Nice.
Yeah.
And just in case people don't know, because I know we've talked about it in the mastermind, but I don't think I've talked about it on here, is I actually have created a new channel that I started from scratch with the idea of let's see how fast we can build this channel, what we can do with it. And, kind of looking at talking to some other people and what they thought and everything. And they typically said, in about 30 days, if you can get 100 subscribers, you're, that first 30 days, you're doing pretty good. We did about 300 in the first 30 days. It was like 314 or something like that. But now we're on month 2. So I don't know if we've hit 2 months yet, but we're right around 2 months, and I've got 3,500. So I've literally grown it 10 times in the last weeks than I did in the first couple of weeks.
Very good.
My bad side to that, of course, is we want to get 4,000 hours of watch time. All the videos are 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe a 6 minute, 1 minute. So even if everybody watches it, the full thing, we're not getting the hours. So the hours are growing up very, very slowly. It's going to take a long time. So I got to do something to change that, probably get some longer videos in there. Maybe some webinars or something that people will go back and watch, and hopefully they're watching 20 minutes worth instead of 2 minutes worth. But in the mastermind today, Steve, we're going to talk a little bit about that and some things.
It's a good mastermind. I mean, I've been working with you for 10 years, doing this show for 10 years, and you'd think I'd know everything, and I learn something every mastermind.
You know what? And a lot of the stuff that we talk about is brand new stuff that, it's new to me too, because things keep changing.
Yeah.
The promotions tab wasn't there last year.
Right.
The shorts weren't there a couple of years ago. The connection to the shorts wasn't there a month ago. So a lot of the stuff we talk about is new, and we're testing a lot of the new things and checking. It's something we're doing an advertisement for the mastermind, but I'll be honest, I don't even have a link for it if anyone wanted to join. So this isn't a promotion for that. I'm just mentioning that we're talking about.
Well, it's out there. I mean,
but
it's
if you do want to join it, reach out to me. I can get the link. I just haven't. I wasn't planning on really hitting that, so I don't have that link with me.
So, the reason I brought up doing an iPhone is I noticed on your new channel, talking about the new iPhone, on your new channel, your new YouTube channel, you talked about it. And I said, well, we should do another show on it. You mentioned it before it came out. It had just been announced. Now you have one. You have the iPhone 15 Pro Max Titanium. There it is. If you're watching on YouTube, let's talk about it. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So, I don't want to sit here and necessarily talk about, it's made of titanium, which is so cool and it weighs less. And, I don't care about that stuff right now. I mean, I do, but for the sake of what we're talking about, none of that really matters. What we're really talking about is on the backside, which is the cameras. And some of the features that they've added, in typical Apple fashion, they take not a negative, I don't want to say negative, but something that is just like, oh, cool. And they turn it into like this big thing, like for instance, when they, last year when they switched from the little notch at the top to the little cutout, well, they didn't just say, hey, we got a new phone and now it's got a cutout. Well, no, now we have the dynamic island, and they turned the fact that there's a cutout in the phone into like this thing that pops up and does all these things and you can click on, and it's really smart. Again, it's like, okay, we moved the cameras from here to a hole here instead, but they turned it into something else. And what they did this year was, of course, they added USB-C. So they got rid of the lightning connector and which, came out 10 years ago. When it came out 10 years ago, it was a big advance. Well, now, of course, everything is USB-C. The Europeans are saying, no, you have to use USB-C, which, I mean, I guess that's a good thing, but I don't like the fact that government is telling technology people what to, because imagine if you're Apple, what if you're Apple and you came up with something 10 times better than USB-C, or you're Samsung, you come up with something 10 times better than USB-C, you want to put it in your phone, and the European Union says, no, you have to have USB-C.
Yeah.
You can't have a proprietary thing anymore. So to me, that's stifling, creativity and competition, but that's for another day. Apple added USB-C, which is good. And of course, other phones have been using USB-C for a couple of years. So it's not like it's by itself a crazy thing. But of course, in Apple fashion, they got to take that and turn it into, hey, look what you can do with this, and you can do this, and now you can do this. And they did a stunning job with it. They took Lightning, which by now is kind of a slow transfer speed. When you're transferring things, kind of slow. And they've now leapfrogged everything. In fact, the fastest Android phones will do about 5 gigabytes a second in transfer. This one does 10. So it's literally double what the fastest one will do. I would imagine Samsung will probably jump that up to 10 in their next revision or two. But, that's a good thing. Of course, you got to have the cables to do it and things like that. The traditional cable isn't going to do that for you. But in addition to just being much faster, they opened it up. Like, a lot of people were like, oh, they put USB-C in there, but they're probably going to block you from doing this and block you from that. They really didn't. You can attach keyboards, you can attach mice, you can attach your phone wired directly to a TV, an HDMI television, monitors, all sorts of things. But the biggest thing is you can attach this to drives and record video directly to fast video drives and or to video equipment. So if you've got, high-end video equipment, you can, instead of recording on your phone, you're recording directly to that video equipment out and saving it there. So it just gives you a lot more options. And when you do that, you actually can turn on the high-quality Apple video modes that are usually only on higher-end computers. But now you've got it directly on your phone, so you can actually shoot in the high-quality modes that, if you've just got your phone, they won't even let you turn that on. You have to connect it to super fast external storage that's large enough to record these things, because the files are huge, but you're getting full, quality videos. And they also do what's called Apple Log, L-O-G. And what that is a very large file. And when you look at it, you'd be like, what the heck is this? It looks terrible. Well, what it is it is raw video with no filtering or of any kind on that video. So what you're getting when you get into your editing system is a completely flattened video that you can then color grade professionally, like they would do in a Hollywood studio for a movie shot on film. So you can shoot in that log format, and it has no computer digital fingerprints on it at all. You can do whatever you want. But you're not going to use that unless you know what you're doing with the color grading. And I'll be the first one to say that, I'm not a color grader. I wouldn't mess with that too much, because you have to color grade it. It literally looks like, you shot it in a foggy room, because there's, the color is very muted. The darks aren't very dark. The brights aren't very bright. It looks very flat, but that's because you update that in the coloring system, and you can make some really, really good looking video when you do that. But, you have to know how to color grade for that. But the fact that you can shoot these higher quality modes, the fact that you can shoot to external drives and things, it's a big deal. It's a big help. And the big exciting thing from the other day was Apple did another event. And in that event, they announced their new processors. And and if you've ever seen any of the Apple events, I don't know if you watch any of them, Steve, have you seen them, but they are very high-end productions, like major high-end productions that they put together for these. Like there are probably movies in the studios that don't put as much effort into the insane stuff that they do in these videos. Well, at the end of this one, another very high quality one, just amazing video. And at the end, it says right on there, and they didn't make a big deal of it, just at the very end, at the bottom of the screen, it said, everything in this video was shot completely with iPhone 15 Pro Max and edited on a Mac. Well, obviously it was edited on a Mac. That's not a big surprise there. But the fact that people were flipping out by, oh my gosh, this entire production was done. And there was there was a secret video that went up publicly on YouTube and was taken right back down. And it was a behind the scenes of how they shot it with the iPhones. And some people were able to grab that video and save it before Apple had pulled it back down. Apparently they didn't mean for it to be listed publicly and they pulled it off, but a couple of people had it, and you should have seen these things. I mean, they had, Hollywood studio rigs with just an iPhone on, that would normally have these huge cameras, just had an iPhone, to the point where they were putting like weights on there. And some people were looking at it and it looked like they even put like a big camera on the rig just for the weight and to take up the space. Yeah, and then the phone was just in the front, taking these shots. But yeah, it was impressive. It was really impressive. And, I'm glad the one thing that had been talked about was that, instead of the USB-C, there'd be no port at all. And I'm glad they didn't do that because, how do you connect microphones at that point in time that are, good quality microphones? And so I'm glad they left that. But with the change, there are some issues I've run into that I think should be mentioned. It's not Apple issues really, but one of the issues, of course, is a lot of my stuff that I have is Lightning. So, for instance, my microphone setups are Lightning. So I went and I got this very inexpensive Lightning to USB-C adapter, which I thought would be fantastic. And for taking a Lightning cable and charging the phone, it seems to work. However, it seems like using this and plugging in my microphones and stuff does not seem to work. My wireless microphone that I plug in, you plug in the little receiver on there and it doesn't even recognize that it's plugged in. So I think these adapters that I got for really, really cheap, I was shocked at how cheap they were. Well, now I think I know why. I think they're just not very good ones. So I'm going to have to get a better one. But, it's little things like that I've got to work with to be able to get, back going properly. So take a little bit for that. But in fact, I sent out a message to Movo and said, hey, I've got your wireless microphone system that I really like and I use all the time, but I just switched over and now I got USB-C. Do you have a replacement adapter I can get? So I want to try to get just not an adapter, but a replacement receiver out of that system. So we're going to see if I'm lucky, they'll even send me one. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Now, let me ask this: is there anything new with the lenses that you can talk about?
Yeah, the cameras are new. The first thing that's new in it is in the Pro Max. They've got a very nice 5x lens, which I know you see some of those Samsungs and you're like, well, 5x, I got it. Samsung does 200x. Well, it really doesn't. That's like a digital zoom type thing. This is like an actual up to 5x lens. So that's a really good thing. They haven't changed the actual chipset in there. So it is the same chip from the previous one. However, when you shoot things now, you can actually shoot at, instead of, most of the phones, like you'll see these phones all the time. It's like, oh, I've got a 48 megapixel sensor, but when you shoot an image, you're getting a 12 megapixel picture in the end. Right. And on this new one, you get a 24 megapixel picture at the end. So it is a much higher quality picture. Now, again, you're dealing with the 3 different lenses and the way that they work and stuff. So it depends on where what length you're shooting things at that'll you get super high quality versus lesser qualities and things like that. But the reality is, obviously, with any of these nicer modern phones, the quality is fantastic no matter what.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's 24 megapixel picture means it's a lot larger, but it means it's if you were to really pixel peep and zoom in on it, you can do really good with that. But I do want to bring up one story, Steve, that before we continue on this iPhone thing, and that is acquiring my iPhone.
Acquiring it, did you say?
Acquiring the iPhone. And this is for you, Verizon. The last time I called somebody out on here and said something, and I wasn't even really calling somebody out. The maker of the product was one of our listeners. And so they contacted me afterwards and said, hey, I was on there. It wasn't my thing. And to be honest, I didn't blame that software for anything. I just kind of said, that was the newest thing I'd added when I started having trouble. So it could be that I might have to test. And he's like, "I wasn't my software." So if you're out there, I still love you. Your software was good. I was just checking because I was having other issues with some things, some complications. But Verizon, I'm going to call you out on this because it was not an easy process. In fact, the process is not even over yet. So now don't get me wrong. Going in, getting the phone, getting signed up to where they can, take my money and stuff. They have no problem handling that. But of course, I have to return my other phone. Well, this is when the iPhone 15 Pro had kind of first come out. I waited about a week just to let the madness die down.
Yeah.
And they only had one iPhone 15 Pro Max. In fact, only one iPhone 15 Pro at all in the entire Verizon store. So that's the one I got. I got the very last one that they had. But they'd had so many people coming in and upgrading that they didn't have the stuff to mail the old one back. Because like if you still got your old phone, you have to send it back to Verizon. And so they didn't have like the boxes and all that kind of stuff. They said, but they told me, they said, well, what you can do is you can go to one of the corporate stores, because they're a private store. They're not a corporate store, which there's one not too far from here, but it's a drive. It's a little bit of a drive. Mm-hmm. But if I bring it there, they'll take it. Okay, great. No problem, man. So, we've been busy and everything. So I finally got a chance to drive on down there. I drove all the way down there, go into the store with it. And they're like, wait, what? I'm like, well, trying to return this phone. Oh, what's the phone number? Oh, I don't know. I don't have anything on here. You sure you're supposed to come here? I'm like, yes, I was specifically told to come here and drop this off. Oh, yeah, we can't do that. What you need to do is, well, that's a corporate account. So what you need to do is talk to the person who's in charge of the corporate part of it and have them make you a person on there so that your name is on there already. And then you can do this and then you can come back. And I'm like, I'm not coming back. So I finally left. I went back to my original store and said, hey, you guys got the boxes and things. And he's like, oh, yeah, I think we do have a box now. He says, all right, but we can't send it for you. What you have to do is you got to call the Verizon number 611. And they will get you the label, and then you send it out. Okay, great. Now, mind you, Verizon, you are a telecom company.
Mm-hmm.
I dial 611 on my phone, and I go through the rigmarole. They make me check my text messages and click a link and say I approve to talk to them and all this stuff. And then it says, okay, if you want to talk about something with the phone, blah blah blah, press 1. Do this, press 2. I press 1, nothing happens. Press 1 again, nothing happens. And they're still, press 7 for this. Press 1, nothing happens. And then we did not receive a response. Here's the menu again. Press 1 for this and press 1, nothing happens. And then say, press pound to get to the opera. Press pound, nothing happens. And then it just says, you have not put in any inputs. Goodbye. And they hang up on me. So finally, I get back to the office. I try again. I finally do get through, and I talk to the girl there. Well, what I didn't realize is at the same time, my wife called Verizon because I said, I couldn't even get through. Well, she called them. She's on the phone with them, and she calls me back, and she's like, yeah. She goes, I went in there and tried to get the label. They wouldn't let me print the label, and they said, oh, it says here is marked down that he's supposed to bring it to the corporate store.
Oh.
She's like, well, he did, but they wouldn't take it, and they told him to leave.
Told him to leave.
And then now, mind you, I'm on the phone with Verizon too. I didn't realize she was on at the same time because I did get through. And so now they're sending me they're sending me a label in the mail. In the mail.
Oh, in the mail.
Now, mind you, they said they were going to email it so we could just print it out and send it. No. They're sending it in the mail now.
In the mail.
So now I've got to wait for the mail to come in a couple of days with a label. Not even a box, just a label. Because I've already got the box. They said, do you have the box? I said, yes, I got the box. Yeah, so they're sending it in the mail. But yeah, my wife was told, he's got to go to the corporate store for that. We can't do that. So that is my saga, which hasn't ended yet. Theoretically, it has not ended yet. Meanwhile, while the corporate store is saying that, we don't have you needing to send in a phone. And I'm getting text messages from Verizon going, hey, we haven't seen your phone yet. Make arrangements. I'm like, I've tried to make arrangements. Anyway, that's my story, but was well worth it because we do have the iPhone here. I did get the 15. I did get the Pro Max. The Pro Max has the 5X lens. The Pro version, not the Max, the smaller one, only has the 3X lens, which is still a great lens. And quite honestly, it's not like I take pictures where I need to zoom in. So the 3X is probably perfectly fine in most scenarios. but it does have a lot of really great features. One of the things that it does now is if you're taking a still shot, they have what's called portrait mode. A lot of the phones have that now. I don't know if they all call it that, but Apple calls it portrait mode. And it'll, take the picture and it'll blur the background and make it look like it was shot with a really nice lens and all that. Well, now you don't even have to tell it to do that. It notices, it goes, oh, all right, you're taking a picture of Steve? Okay, we're going to do that portrait mode thing. And you can turn it on and off afterwards. So you've got the data in the picture. So, if it takes it with the portrait mode, you just wanted a regular picture, you just don't use the portrait mode part of it, and it's just a regular picture.
Cool.
On top of that, if you take a regular old picture, you can turn those pictures into portrait mode now. And I haven't tried this yet, but supposedly, even if it's a picture you shot somewhere else that's just on your phone, you can open up that picture and it'll do the portrait mode on that picture anyway.
Wow.
So it'll pull you out of there and put, do the depth on the background. So very, very cool stuff. And there's a lot of great tutorials online that kind of show you how to do some of those things, because I'll be honest with you, I haven't used 1/80th of the features for still shots in the last couple of years on all these phones. When I was still a lot of times using a real DSLR when I needed to take decent pictures and things, whatever. But yeah, that probably won't be the case anymore, because this will take pictures that are better than the DSLR that I have. My DSLR is older,
Wow.
So this will take pictures of that.
Wow.
The DSLR only does 12 megapixels. So
okay. All right. Wow.
It'll be good. It'll be a good thing. And, it's got a lot of other great features in there. The selfie camera looks really good. They've improved some things there. You can do portrait mode in the selfie mode. So it's very nice. A lot of great things. And again, the fact that you can record off of the phone itself, that is a big, big plus. And I got over here, those of you watching, I don't know if you can see this or not. It's attached to the computer. So, apparently it's not attached to the computer anymore anyway. I accidentally ejected it.
What were you doing there?
Oh, I was messing with it, and I apparently pulled out the USB-C.
With what?
So this here, this is
if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. If you're listening on the podcast, you can't. But
so this is an NVMe SSD drive.
Oh,
not really SSD, but
it looks like a big thumb drive almost.
Yeah, it looks like a big thumb drive. So what it is inside of here, I'll even open it up for the people on there. So there's a memory module in there, NVMe. So it's super fast memory. And what's great about it is, boy, I'll tell you, being a cheapskate that I am.
Yes.
I have really stuck to hard drives instead of switching to SSDs, because you get so much more space for the money and always at a premium for space. But you suffer in that doing video, it's tough. The computer can be as fast as you want. If that drive is slow.
Yeah. Right.
It's not going to be good.
Yeah.
And so that's a big problem. And with this SSD, now I'm doing stuff where I've got tons of layers, and the computer will just blast through it like it's not even doing anything, versus slowing down.
That plugs into your phone.
So this will plug into my phone as well.
Yeah,
so
and then you can plug it into the computer with an adapter.
You can also attach it to the computer. Now, I did run into one issue, and that has to do with this case. So being new, it's easy to fall into that but what I found with this is that the phones do not power this case properly. So I have to put it through a hub that's plugged in. So on the next one that I got to get a case that the phones will actually power.
Right.
Go figure,
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So that's one thing to think about with that. And of course, it's not like on Amazon, it shows you these things. So you kind of have to figure it out. But yeah, so we have to find out, which ones are actually going to be able to be powered. I know you can, because I see people showing off their NVMEs all the time that are running directly on their phones. So
and Ray has Envy, SSD card Envy.
Yes. NVMe Envy.
Yeah.
So bottom line though is, it is a great time for us as creators, especially small creators, local businesses that are trying to do creation, because you can do this. You're carrying this around in your pocket anyway.
Yeah.
You can do it. Get one that has plenty of space, and you'll be able to do some really cool things in it. Unfortunately, the one negative that is because this was the very last one in the entire building, it is only the 256 megabyte module, which my last one was too. That's not a big deal, especially when I can record off the phone itself. So it's not like it's that big a deal for me. But would have been nice to get the larger.
Oh yeah.
But hey, you take what you can get. I couldn't choose the color, but the color they had was kind of the one that I was looking at anyway, which is this dark blue one.
Dark.
It's a
dark
real
blue.
slick.
Okay. Yeah.
So really, this titanium one, it looks really nice. It's if you had the last iPhone, when I would hold the last iPhone, it would like dig into your palm, because it was it had the flat edges, but also after a while, if you bang it up a little bit, those edges start to get like little burrs in them. Hold it in your hand and you can feel it. This is real smooth the way that they did it this time. They went the opposite way. One thing to note though, slightly easier to break the front and or the back because you don't have that barrier that goes all the way around. It's a slimmer barrier with the glass kind of going above the barrier. And so therefore you drop it, the glass will break a little bit easier. So
yeah, I was just checking on my case, and yeah, it does go above the screen. So okay.
Yeah. So that's the one thing to think about. But quite honestly, you put a case on it, you don't have to worry about it anyway. I haven't put a case on it yet. Fingers crossed that nothing happens, but I do want to get a case on that to protect it. But
yeah.
For those of us that do video using our phones, the problem about a case though. None of your stuff, you got to plug things in. And when you put those cases on a lot of these phones, then you can't plug stuff in properly. So,
oh, really? I've never had a problem.
Yeah. How often are you plugging things in? Like, microphones. Well, some of the microphones, if you got one that just plugs in normally, but a lot of these things, like you look at this, look how big, that is there. You put a case up there and it doesn't fit.
The only thing I've ever plugged in is that, I've got a mobile shotgun mic, two-way shotgun mic that I use sometimes. That's the only thing I plug in.
Yeah.
So.
And that one, I use the little dongle for that because it's, just a TRRS headphone jack. So I use the little dongle for that anyway. And the dongle is normal. So it's not a big fat connector like that.
Yeah.
Through the case is no problem. But
yeah, same here. So.
And even like the wireless microphone, because the wireless microphone has that receiver that kind of connects to the end of your phone.
Right.
You got a thick case on there. It's not going to be able to reach and plug in. So
I did not know that.
Yes.
It's called Johnny Carson.
I did not know that.
I did not know that. Wild, wacky stuff. Yeah, we're showing our age, by the way. He signed off the air 30 years ago. So
that's right. Of course, I was doing the Dana Carvey version of Johnny Carson.
That's right.
Showing my age, but
that's right.
So that's my iPhone update. A very, very worthy update for me. For people that are doing the stuff I do, it's a big update. If you had the iPhone 14, a lot of people are like, well, I like this and I like that, but it's really worth upgrading from the 14. For most people, it probably isn't. You got, a lot of the things are the same features other than the USB-C. But for me, the USB-C and the upgrades to the camera stuff was enough for me to be like, yes, I have to upgrade that for the stuff that I'm doing. Absolutely. So,
yeah.
We'll see next year if they do it to me again.
Cool.
But Steve, if you're going to shoot with your phone, it's probably a good idea to have some of those extra pieces of equipment to use, like microphones, stands, lights. And I think we know a place where you can get these things to turn your regular old everyday phone into a video shooting powerhouse. And that's with our good friends over at Movo. You want a wireless microphone? They got it. You want a wired microphone? They got that. You want a shotgun microphone? They got that. You want a desktop microphone? You've got that. You got all sorts of great things, lights, stands to mount your phone onto your tripods. All of those things are available by heading on over to Movo by going to raiselinks.com/Movo and checking out all the great stuff they have available.
Indeed.
All right, Steve.
Alrighty.
What do you think? We ready for that music?
Let's hit that music.
Here it is.
Stop live stream. Bye.